In the last session, the session number is 5. So we discussed, we have seen in the system how to create accounting calendar and how we can find out the currencies information which Oracle is providing. Along with these 2 points, we discussed about chart of accounts. If you want to maintain the description related information in the system, we have to create the chart of accounts by using accounting key flex field. The accounting key flex field we have in the general ledger application. How to create the chart of accounts structure? We have to create the segments. For each segment, we have to create value sets. And with the help of value sets, we can create the segment values. This you can take as a structure name. So these are the segments. For each segment, value sets, with the help of value sets, we can maintain the values. So this is what we discussed about chart of accounts. So we'll add few more points related to chart of accounts, and we'll see how this chart of accounts can be created in the system to support the description in the transaction creation process. So we discussed within the chart of accounts, we can create segments. Here we took example, 3 segments, company, department account. So when you create the chart of accounts, max how many segments we can create? Max system will allow us to create 30 segments. So within the chart of account, the maximum you can create 30 segments, but if you want to create the chart of accounts, the minimum segments are 2 segments. The minimum segments are 2 segments. Those minimum 2 segments are company and account. The minimum 2 segments are company account. You can call this company and account with a different naming convention also. We'll understand that very soon. As of now, take as a company and account. So when you create the chart of accounts for any company, any organization, or say any client, the minimum company and account segments are mandatory. Max we can create up to 30 segments, but reality how many segments we create. When you work for any implementation for reality, you could come across the cases like total segments can be 6 in the client chart of accounts, or it could be 7 or 8, 9. Very rare cases you may see 10. So not more than 10. Somebody is using the more than 10 segments also, system will support, but we don't call it as that is a best practice. We no need to create chart of accounts with a too many number of segments, because every application has a capability of capturing the relevant data. What details we have to capture across all the application, that you can take as a segments into chart of accounts. So reality, when we are working for any client, you may create the chart of accounts with 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, 10 segments. On an average, you can see 7 or 8 segments. Okay, we don't need to create more than 10. Some client want us to create, we have to create, but we will be able to explain really that segment is required or not going through a few classes. So this is a point we have to understand. Okay, when you create the chart of accounts, max it will allow us to create 30 segments. But to create the chart of accounts, minimum we require 2 segments. Those are company and account. Reality, this is how we create the chart of accounts. So what we can include as a chart of accounts as a part of real-time implementation? Let's see that. Okay, reality, how do we create the chart of accounts? What are the different segments we use as a part of real-time implementations? So when you create chart of accounts, create like company, the department, account. Say you have a 10 branches. If you are going to perform the transactions across these branches also, okay, you have to capture that. Say branch 1 is purchasing from branch 2. Not like from supplier, the branch 1 is purchasing. Within our business, you have a 10 branches. One branch is purchasing from another branch, and branch 3 is selling to branch 4. Branch 4 is purchasing from branch 5 or 2 or 3. You take any scenario. So you are going to do the transactions within our organization. You are not dealing with your suppliers or customers. You are just recording the transaction. If required, within the organization, you may perform the transactions. If you want to track such kind of transactions more detail level, we can have one segment called as intercompany. Okay. Intercompany. Within the organization, maybe across the companies or across the branches, you can perform the transaction. If you have a segment called as intercompany, you can track those transactions, which company is buying from which company within our enterprise itself, within our organization itself, or else which branch is purchasing from which another branch. This all you can track very detailed level, and you will be able to generate the reports also accordingly. Okay. And say the company is into projects, they are doing some project activities also. They are doing their day-to-day business activities like purchasing, selling. Apart from that, say the client is doing some projects for their customers. If they want to capture what are the expense they are spending, what are the revenue they are generating for their business, they want to capture each transaction which is belongs to project. They want to identify the transactions belongs to which project. In such kind of scenarios, we can have a segment called as project also. Really, when we have to take project as one of the segment into chart of accounts, we have applications called as PPM. Okay, product family called as PPM, project portfolio management. Okay, project portfolio management. This is one of the offering from Oracle. So a client is doing projects as per their business, but they are not using the PPM applications. That is a case where we have to use project as one of the segment in the chart of accounts. So they are using the PPM applications. You no need to create any segment in the chart of account. Okay. Still, if they want to have one more segment called as a task, yes, they can have. Means whenever they are doing the project related activities, what are the expense they are spending, what are the revenue they are generating, they want to specify the expenses belongs to which project. In that project, the expenses belongs to which task, or you can call as activity. So this is how just you can have the relevant segments if you want to track the transactions belongs to which projects, or else if you are using the PPM, project portfolio management applications, the project and task creation is not required within our chart of accounts. Okay, not required. Just notice that. The same way, like it totally depends on the client. The company and account, these are the default segments in every chart of accounts. Rest of information we can capture based on client business process or the requirement towards reports. So along with the company and the account, definitely we use department also to identify the transactions belongs to which department. If they have a multiple companies or multiple branches, to track the intercompany transactions very detailed level and to generate the reports, we use intercompany segment. And if they're doing the projects and if they are not using the PPM application, always we recommend to have one of the segment called as project, so that they'll be able to track every project related transactions very detailed level. And rest depends on the client of their business process also. So they are into different services, they are providing different services. They want to identify what are the services they are providing. So you can take one of the segment called as service type. or they are into different processes. Like say the company is into manufacturing process, etc. So they may have a segment called as process line and production line. Or if they want to find out the profitability and all product wise, they can have segment called as product also. So this is how just we can have a different segments based on their business. When we sit with the client for discussions, they'll come up with their requirement, what they want to capture, okay, as a part of each and every transaction, irrespective of application. Application wise, say if you are going to work on the payables, the transactions belongs to which supplier you can capture. If you are working on the receivables, you can capture each and every transaction, the receivables belongs to which customer. The customer and supplier, you no need to take as a segments in the chart of accounts. Okay, whatever you take in the chart of accounts as a segment, that should be useful in the most of the applications. That's how you have to plan and to create the chart of accounts with required segments. And whenever we create this chart of accounts, we have to think about the future. Say now they need 5 segments, 6 or 7 segments. What about in future? In future, there could be some business expansion, or else the client may acquire a few other companies. Because of those companies, there could be some requirement of capturing some additional details as a part of every transaction. So those points we have to keep in our mind when we design the chart of accounts. So very generally, we suggest the clients to have minimum 2 additional segments in the chart of accounts as a buffer segments. Okay, buffer segments. The reason is, in future, if they need new segments, we should not add. System will allow. Say they started using fusion applications, and we created chart of accounts with the 6 or 7 segments as per their current reporting requirements. After 4 years, they did business expansion, or say they acquired few other companies and they need one more segment. As per our application, we can add one more segment, but it may create data inconsistency issues. For existing data for last 4 years, whatever the transactions recorded, the data can be disturbed. Such kind of risk is involved if you are going to add new segments. Application will allow, but Oracle is strongly recommending, please don't add any additional segments once you start using the application or once you start using the chart of accounts. This is what Oracle is recommending. Always Oracle recommends to have minimum 2 additional segments, buffer segments, or else if you don't need to, at least 1. So that in future, if you come up with a requirement, so chart of account related segment you require, that buffer segment you can convert into real segment and you can start using it when you record the transactions. So as a consultant, we have to suggest, okay. So we should suggest to have minimum 2 future segments. Final decision is client. Okay. So we have to suggest. The final decision can be taken by client only. Client will decide whether they need or not. If they says we don't need 1 future segment also, still as a consultant we suggest. Say after some time, like if you want to capture some additional details, if you have this, you can use it. If you are going to have a future 1 and a future 2 or only future 1, there won't be an issue. Whatever the transaction you are recording, you can record as per the data what you want to capture. For future segment, we keep some default data, means not applicable. So that's how it is not going to disturb when you are going to record the transaction. This is what we have to explain. So most of the clients, you could see they agree, and there will be few clients somewhere you may face, they don't listen to us. Then we have to accept what they are saying. Okay, if something goes wrong, they have to face it. As a consultant, we have to suggest always which is good. So that is the reason always we suggest as a best practice to have minimum 2 segments in the chart of accounts as a buffer segments or future segments. So these are the points we have to understand. And we have one concept called as enterprise structure. After discussing, I'll take you through a few more points related to chart of accounts. What are the other naming conventions you can have for company? Instead of company, with what names you can call? Instead of account, what are the other names you can use? And what are the best practices when we have to follow when we design the chart of accounts for any company? These points we'll discuss. For now, we cannot understand. We can discuss, but we cannot understand those. Once we are comfortable with the concept called as enterprise structure, we can discuss all those so that it will become very easy for us. Okay, those all will become just piece of cake. Easily you can understand. So we'll wait for the time to discuss those additional details related to the chart of accounts. As of now, these are the points we should aware. Okay, so by using accounting key flex field, we have to create the chart of account structure. Within that, segments, value sets, values we have to create. So where we have accounting key flex field within the general ledger. So if you are going to create the chart of accounts by using the accounting key flex field, max how many we can create? 30. Minimum 2. So minimum 2 segments are company and account. So very much mandatory. The transaction, what you are recording, you have to capture that we can represent with account. So that is belongs to which organization, which company or which branch that you can represent with the company segment. So that is the reason every chart of account, these two are mandatory. Rest all you can decide as per your business process. Along with what you need, what you may need in the future also, you have to plan now. You don't see any companies using as 30 segments or 24, 20 or 15 and all. Okay. So on and average, 7-8 segments only you see in the most of the implementation. Somewhere you may see some clients is using only 6 or 9 or 10. You may come across 11 also. It's a very rare scenario. Okay. So the reason every application has its own capability. That is the reason the application specific data you don't need to include in the chart of accounts as segments. Okay. So as of now, you can take this as a one of the best example to understand how we can have a segments in the chart of company. Definitely, you can have a department. What Oracle is not saying department is mandatory. Company and accounts are mandatory. So generally, we use the department also one of the segment in the chart of accounts. If you have multiple branches or multiple companies as per your business, so you may perform the transactions across. So to capture those very detailed level and to produce the reports, we need intercompany segment. What are the companies we have? Those only you take as intercompany. Between those two, transactions may take place. If client wants to record the project related transactions, what projects they are doing for their clients, their customers. So that also we can take as one of the segment. If they are going to use PPM application, the PPM application has a great capability of tracking each and everything more detailed level about each and every transaction activities. In such kind of scenarios, we no need to take project as a segment. Say if client is into different services, okay, so that you may take as one of the segment as service type. They are into processes, okay, process line and production line, depends. Okay, this all client will talk to us. What business they are doing accordingly, what are the other segments they require in their chart of accounts, they will explain accordingly, we can include. Another part what we have to suggest is to have a future segments. If they are not interested with the 2 future segments, at least 1 future segment we have to suggest. So this is all about what we have to understand the meaning of chart of accounts at this point of time. Later we'll add few more points. As of now, this is what we have to understand to start with our chart of accounts structure creation in the system. Any questions before we proceed to create the chart of accounts in system environment? Any questions from anyone, please? Okay, no questions. Okay, we'll discuss few more points related to chart of accounts, but not now. We have one concept called as enterprise structure. After discussing easily we can correlate few points to understand the chart of account related best practices. Then, if you want to create the same chart of accounts in the system environment, what are the steps we have to follow? What are the different tasks we have to perform? Let's discuss. You can take the title as create chart of accounts. Simply you can say create chart of accounts, COA. Okay, COA. COA means chart of accounts. If you want to create the chart of accounts in the system, first we have to create value sets. Okay, we have to create value sets. So create value sets. How many value sets we have to create? How many segments we are going to create? Accordingly, we have to create the value sets. Okay. So let's take these as a segments into our chart of accounts. Okay, maybe we may not require these many. Okay, we'll proceed with these few segments. Everything is not required. Okay, let's create chart of accounts with the company, department, account, intercompany, project, future one and future two. So that means for each segment we have to create value sets. 7 segments, 7 value sets we have to create. After creating the value set, we can create the chart of account structure name. So this is how you can create, or else this is what you can take. Okay, so chart of account structure name. So you can give the name as create chart of accounts structure. The task name is create chart of account structure. First, we are going to perform the task called as value sets. The next task is chart of account structure. How to create the chart of account structure? As simply you can say we have to create chart of account structure name. We have to create chart of account structure name. After creating chart of account structure name, within this chart of account structure, we have to create segments. We have to create segments within the chart of account structure. So create segments. Okay, create segments for each. Each segment, whatever we are creating, already we created value sets and we are creating the segments. Now the value sets we have to assign to respective segment. It means company segment to company value set to company segment, department value set to department segment, account value set to account segment. So during the segment creation, we have to assign the relevant value sets. So assign value sets to segments. Okay, assign value sets to segments. Assign value sets to segments. And to segments, we are assigning the value sets. Along with that, we have to assign segment labels also. Please take the points and remember that naming convention and all. We'll come to know each and everything very detailed level. Okay. Just we are discussing what we have to do. When we are doing, we'll discuss more detailed level about that. Something is possible to discuss and understand before we get into the system. Yes, we will discuss. So certain things we can discuss directly. Certain things when we are doing in the system, we can discuss and we can understand. Certain things, even after doing in the system, we have to wait for some time. When we record the transactions, then only we can understand. Okay. When we discuss few things, we can understand few things. When we are setting up in the system, we can understand certain concepts you cannot understand even when you are doing the setups in the system. Based on the setups, if you are going to record the transaction, there you can understand what purpose we are doing so and so setup. Okay. So that means everything we are not discussing when we are just writing some points in this spreadsheet. So we'll find the right time to discuss, and we'll discuss so that we can understand. So we have to assign value sets to segments, and to the same segments, we have to assign segment labels also. To assign segment labels to segments. Just make a note, we'll discuss, we'll understand how the labels looks like, what purpose we have to assign labels to segment, which label we have to assign to which segment. We'll discuss all these points. And after completing these setups, we can say our chart of account is ready. Not with the complete information. So you can say chart of account is ready. This chart of accounts, we have to make a copy. You have to copy it. As per our system, what are the chart of accounts you create, you cannot use it as directly. You have to make a copy of the chart of accounts that you can use in the system environment. That copied chart of accounts only you can use. Whatever you are creating directly, you cannot use it. So to copy this chart of accounts, we have to create chart of account structure instance. Create chart of accounts structure instance. Instance means the copy of chart of account structure. Okay. Instance means the copy of chart of account structure. We have to create chart of account structure instance. What does it mean by instance? Here, copy. Already we discussed meaning of instance also. This is a meaning also same, copy of software product. Okay, here instance means copy of software product. Anything you copy, that you can call as instance. Here instance means the copy of chart of account structure. We have to create chart of account structure instance. Where we are creating chart of account structure? Within the accounting key flex field. The accounting key flex field, you can create one or multiple chart of account structures. Okay. Within the accounting key flex field, you can create one or multiple chart of account structures. Now what we have to do is, we have to submit this accounting key flex field for validation. If you submit this accounting key flex field for validation, system will verify the chart of accounts whatever created within the same accounting key flex field, those are created with the proper information or not. This accounting key flex field can verify. We have to submit accounting key flex field for verification or a validation purpose. Okay, we have to submit accounting key flex field for validation. What it will validate within the accounting key flex field, what are the chart of accounts we have, those are created as per the some rules or conditions which we have to follow when we create the chart of account. That can be verified by system. The verification process we call as deployment. We have to deploy accounting key flex field. That means we are submitting accounting key flex field for validation purpose. If somebody is from EBS background, this we call as compile. In EBS, we compile specific chart of accounts, but here you cannot deploy specific chart of accounts. The entire accounting key flex field you have to deploy in case of Fusion. Say deploy accounting key flex field. You have to deploy accounting key flex field. After deployment, you can create values in the value sets. In company value set, you can create the company values. In department value set, you can create department values. The account and the rest of segment related value sets, you can create the relevant values. Never try to create values within the value sets after creating the value sets. First, we are creating value sets. Don't create values in those value sets after creating value sets immediately. You have to follow this process After deployment only, you have to create the values in the value sets. If you create values in the value sets, the moment you complete value set creation, you cannot create values with a proper definition. Those system will understand as incomplete values in the value set. How exactly you will see in the system. So after deployment, what we have to do? We have to create values in the value sets. Create segment values in value sets. If you are going to create these segments, for each segment, we are going to have a separate value set. For all those value sets, you can create the values. When you create the values, you have to assign value attributes to those values. Okay. Value attributes means we set certain properties for those values. Say, assign value attributes to segment values. And here you can say assign segment labels to segments. Okay, assign segment labels to segments. Here you can say assign value attributes to segment values. So these are the steps involved so that our chart of accounts would be ready. In the entire course, you may find little big concept as a chart of accounts only. Okay, again, it is very simple to understand, but only the thing is in one go, you may not understand. Just try to understand the points what we are discussing. Then I'll take you through in the system how to create the chart of accounts. You try from your end, you create the chart of account at least one time, then look at the chart of accounts concept. You can understand what is the meaning of chart of accounts, what are the points, what purpose, how to create all these points. You'll feel more comfortable about the chart of accounts. Okay, the rest all most of the concepts directly you can understand. When we are discussing, mostly you can understand. Somewhere something is stopping you to understand in the discussions. At least when we do the same in the system, you can understand. But chart of accounts, definitely you should try to understand all these points. Once we get into the system, we have to see how to create it. After that, you also please try from your end. After completing these 3 phases, you will be comfortable about this chart of accounts concept. Yeah. So that's what we have to understand. Just I'll move these segments here. Okay, anyway, these are the segments we are going to create in our chart of accounts. Now here we are talking about one concept called as assign segment labels to segments. Okay, assign segment labels to segment. What segment labels we have to assign to which segment we are going to discuss now. Why we are assigning that we will understand later. Now, just for information purpose, take these points. For company segment, we have to assign one segment label called as primary balancing segment labels. Okay, here this is a functional course. More we have to remember this content what we are discussing. The same you should be able to explain. Okay, so you will have a question like, how do you create the chart of account? This is what we have to explain. To create the chart of accounts, first we have to create the value sets, and then we have to create the chart of account structure. We have to create the segments within the chart of account structure. For each segment, we have to assign the value sets, and to the segments, we have to assign segment labels. And after completing these steps, we have to create the chart of account structure instance. Finally, we have to deploy the accounting key flex field to submit our chart of accounts for validation. And finally, we can create the segments in the value sets. To the segments, we have to assign value attributes. When you explain like this, they can ask cross questions like, which segment label you have to assign to which segment? What do you mean by value set, value attributes? What do you mean by chart of account structure instance? What is the difference between chart of account structure and chart of account structure instance? This we all point, these all points will understand. Okay. By the time we complete this chart of account concept, we'll be able to answer all those. And again, if they ask you the question, for which segment, which label we have to assign, which segment label we have to assign, that we are going to discuss. The next question could be, why we have to assign primary balance and segment label to company, why we have to assign so-and-so label to so-and-so segments, and what is the purpose. These all you can find as a questions. So that is the reason whatever we are discussing, we have to be very clear about those points to read and remember. Okay, first we have to understand. If you understand that is not enough, you should be able to speak out. You should be able to speak out. The best thing what you can do is you can plan for presentations. Okay, now it's almost online classes. When we were running the trainings in the institute, we made everybody should give the presentations. They have to take the feedback from others. Any concept we discuss in the class, they have to give presentation. That will boost the confidence, that will become experience. When they are explaining in the interview, they can have a great confidence towards the content what they are speaking out, since they are given presentations multiple times. That's very, very important. Now we are not in the institute, but still you have an option. You can give the presentations in your home or in your room or wherever you are. Okay, please find somebody and explain that. Explain that. They may not require this content, but we need practice. You explain whatever you are learning in the class for your experience purpose. You explain so that this all will become very friendly to us. You can build the flow and you can build the confidence. When you explain this content in the interview or anywhere, you can have a flow. You can have a great confidence since you spoke about this content. So that will become your experience. That is only one way, okay, to get ready with this content when we are facing the interviews or any other process. Okay. Before that, read and remember. And before you read and remember, please make a note of each and every point what we are discussing in the class. Okay, please take all these points into your note. And along with that, what I am not writing here, what I am explaining also, please make a note. That's very, very important. The points what we discussed now, these are very important. Please follow. Okay. So assign segment labels to segment. Which labels we have to assign to which segments? For company segment, we have to assign primary balance and segment label. And department segment, we have to assign cost center segment label. You no need to understand anything now. Okay, we have some time to understand these points. As of now, make a note and remember. We don't know meaning of it, but just make a note and remember. As an introduction, I'm just explaining all this. We should aware of these naming conventions and all, so that rest will become easy for us when we start working on the system. Okay, for company, we have to assign primary balance and segment label. Why? We don't know. For a department, we have to assign cost center segment label. What is the reason? We don't know. We'll discuss later. For account segment, we have to assign label called as natural account segment label. Okay. Natural account segment label. Labels, it's one label. For company, we have to assign primary balance and segment label, department cost center segment label. For account, we have to assign natural account segment labels. Out of these, okay, these two are mandatory, compulsory. You should assign. For company, you have to assign primary balance and segment label, and natural account we have to assign. Natural account we have to assign to account segment. Okay. For a department, you may assign, may not assign cost center segment label. By following the condition you have to assign, those we'll discuss. Remember these parts. Anyway, for these three segments, three labels we have to assign. For any other segment, we have to assign any other label. We'll discuss later. That is not important at this stage. Okay. So remember these points. For these three we call as segment labels. We have few more also we'll discuss, but as of now, remember these points. Don't try to understand why we have to assign. We will discuss later. As of now, remember what we have to do, why we have to do, will come. Done. Now we'll go and see how to create the value sets in the instance. How to create the value sets in instance. We'll go and see. For all these segments, we have to create value sets. Okay. So before we proceed, any questions here, please? No questions. Let's see how to create the value sets in the instance. So go to our implementation project, setup and maintenance. Now we have to click on this task list. Select task called as manage implementation projects. Click on manage implementation projects. So it will take us to the page where you can see all the implementation projects. When you do the real implementation, you don't find these many projects, the client instance. This page you could see as a blank, and whatever you create, that would be the first implementation project. And since we have many projects here, simply you can click on overview so that whatever the project is assigned to this current user, system will display. Click on overview. So this is a project we created in the last session or prior sessions. Click on the same project to open. So all the setups related to financials you can complete from this project only. If you want to do the setups related to SCM, you cannot do from this page. You have to add SCM or any other offerings or options you can perform. Now we can perform only finance related setups. And when you are going to implement financials, what are the dependent setups? Okay, the finance is going to depend on which other application related setups. Those are also part of this finance one. When we are working on financials, we have to complete few HCM related setups, few SCM setups. Okay. So those setups also part of financials only. So when we are implementing financials, what are the setups we have to do from very few, from HCM, SCM, from other applications. To perform those setups, you don't need to add those offerings and options into our project. Within the financials only, Oracle is including those setups also. Okay. Now, create value sets. The value sets, what we are going to create, we are going to use in accounting chart of account structure. That chart of account structure is part of accounting key flex field. Okay, accounting key flex field. So since we are going to create value sets to use in the chart of accounts, the task name you can see in the system as chart of accounts value sets. That means the value sets what we are going to use in the chart of accounts. So those we are calling as chart of accounts value sets. Find the task called as chart of accounts value sets. Okay. Chart of accounts value sets. Just you don't need to give the full name. You can type chart of accounts value. Click on search. Scroll little, just drag little right. Here is the task called as manage chart of accounts value sets. Yes, we are going to create value sets only. We are not going to create the values in the value sets. Just value sets we are going to create. So click on manage chart of accounts value sets. Click on manage chart of accounts value sets task. So you can notice here what setups we are going to perform, those you could see in the sequence. First, we have to create chart of accounts. The task name is manage chart of accounts. Here you can see. First, we discussed we have to create the chart of accounts. To create the chart of accounts, we have to use the task called as manage chart of accounts. After creating the chart of accounts, we have to create chart of account structure. Okay, we have to create chart of account structure. So here is the task to create the chart of account structure. Manage chart of account structure. So within the structure itself, we create segments. We assign value sets to segments, and we assign segment labels to segments. These all are part of same task. That is manage chart of account structures. So after creating the chart of account structure, we have to create chart of account structure instance. Okay, chart of account structure instance we have to create. The next task is chart of account structure instance. After completing that, we have to deploy the accounting key flex field. From the same task, you can deploy. Okay. From manage chart of account structure instances. After creating the instances, by using the same task, we can perform the deployment also. Okay, we can deploy the accounting key flex field. The next step is create segment values in the value sets. Here is the task called as manage chart of accounts value set values. Assign value attributes to segment values. During the values creation in the value sets, we can assign value attributes to segments. So to create the chart of account, what setups we have to perform, all the setups you can see in the sequence within the instance. Now we'll go and see how to create the value sets. First, we'll see how to create the value sets. Just click on create. Just call this icon as a go to task icon. Okay. So manage chart of account value sets. You can just click on go to task icon. You can call it as go to task icon. Click on go to task icon. It will take us to the page from where we can create the chart of accounts value sets. Okay, chart of account value sets. So by default, you never find any value sets in the fresh instance. Oracle is not providing any sample value sets. So we have to create whatever we require. No sample data you can find in the fresh instance. So if you find out existing value sets, you can give your value set code and you can click on search. So here this section is search section. Almost whatever the setup you do, the most of the setups you can find by default search option. Okay. Now we are not going to find out. We are going to create. To create the value set, click on create icon. Okay, just click on create icon. Here you can provide the value set code description, the module validation type, value data type, and based on the data what we are selecting here, we'll just expand and it will provide the relevant information. We'll see that. First, we are going to create value set for company segment. So when you create value set, include the company name as a part of value set name. If you are creating company value set, your organization name is Google, you can give as a Google company. So here value set code you can give as a Google company. So Google company you can give as a value set name or code, both are same. Now you no need to write this as a value set. So value set, you no need to write Google company value set. This name will be displayed in the value set field only going forward. So you don't include name as a value set, which is a value set already. Just simply you can give Google company. That is a value set only. We are creating by using the value set page. And the same you can take as a description, but not mandatory. If you want to take the same as a description, you can take it. This value set we are going to use in which application? Here we can see module. Module and application both are same. Okay. Module is equal to application. Module is the technical term. Functionally we call as application. The technical term is module. Okay, that means module is equal to application or application is equal to module. Both are same. You can call with any name, but module is a technical term. Now here we have to specify this value set you are going to use in which module. If you look at this hierarchy, okay, the chart of accounts we are going to create an accounting key flex field. Accounting key flex field is part of general ledger. That means the value sets we are creating for general ledger application to use in the chart of accounts. Select module as a general ledger application. So here is the application name, general ledger, select it. Okay. Select module as a general ledger. Now, validation type. So as a part of this value set, what data you are going to create, accordingly you have to select the validation type. So select always as independent. What are the other options where we can use, we'll discuss, but now those are not required. Try to understand. When you create a value set, select independent. Even see, this is a manual process we are following. System also can create the value sets automatically. When system creates value sets also, it selects the same validation type as independent. That means within this value set, we are going to maintain independent values. What are the list of companies we have, or else what are the list of branches we have, all you are going to create within this value set, take as independent. Okay, take as independent, but we have to understand what are the other validation types. We'll see that later, not required now. Okay, take validation type as independent. Okay. Within this company value set, you are going to maintain all your independent company names, but which data type you want to use? Okay, which data type? Value data type. You can select character. If you select character, you can enter number or names or alphanumeric data you can enter. If you select only number, that value set you can enter number only. You cannot provide the company name, company codes and all. You can, if you select date, only date, if date and time, date and time. That's all. Okay, always choose character. You may want to enter numbers, choose character so that it will allow alphanumeric. And value subtypes take as a text. You are going to enter text that supports the alphanumeric data, or else if you select time, okay, only you can enter the time. You select time here, you have to select the time, again the time format and all. If you select time like this is how the time need to be displayed. Okay, hours, minutes, seconds, you can specify the further specification. That's what we are doing. If you select here time, okay, so here date, number, character. So for others, it is not displaying any subtypes. The character has a great flexibility. Anything you can have. You can just have a text. Translate a text means you can just translate any language from one to other. That text you can take. And number, digits only. These are all flexibility you can see with the character. If I select number, only numbers I can enter. Okay, the precision, scale. And if I select date, only date information directly I can enter minimum, maximum dates and date and time. Ideally, as a part of value sets, these all are not required. So we just use character. It supports anything, any data you want to enter, you can select and you can use accordingly. Now select value subtype as a text. Okay, text, because text supports alphanumeric data. So value set is Google company. That means the company's data we are going to maintain within this value set. So select validation type as independent, value data type is character, value subtype as a text. So there is one checkbox called as security enabled, and there is a field called as data security resource name. These two are related to separate concept. There is one concept within the general ledger application related to security. So when you deal with that concept, we'll go through it. Now don't consider this as a part of value set creation. That is separate concept which you can implement against the value set. Okay, that we have as per our course curriculum. When we are dealing with that concept, we'll discuss and we'll set up accordingly. As of now, don't touch that, not required. And maximum length. When we are going to create company codes within this company value set, what is the maximum length you want to use? Here you can see we taken company codes as 1, 2, 3. How many digits? One digit only. So that's what you have to specify here. If you give only one with one digits only, you can give the company codes. That means from 1 to 9 you can enter. If you give 2 digits, company code you can create in 2 digits means max 99. 3 digits maximum length. If you give 3 digits, in 3 digits you can list out all your companies. The codes you can take in 3 digits. 3 digits in maximum number is 999. So those many companies you can create. So how many companies you are going to create doesn't matter. What maximum length you want to use, that client will decide. We'll discuss with the client. Say they have total 5 companies. They can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what numbering they want to use. For the companies, they want to use numbers like 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. Or else 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. So that client will decide, okay, how just numbering they require, the company codes they need with 1 digit or 2 digits or 3 or 4. The client decides and we can suggest. And mostly we could see 2 digits or 3 digits and 4 digits numbering. You can just see companies uses as a coding for company names. Let's use maximum length as a 4. Means company codes you can enter in the system with the 4 digits. It allows up to 9,999 companies from 0 to 999, max 4 digits. So if you don't want to allow the company codes before 1,000, you can set limit before 1,000 and after 9,000. So that means you are setting minimum value and maximum value. If you are going to create the company codes in 4 digits, that should be in between 1,000 9,000. If you don't give 1,000 9,000, before 1,000 also codes can be created. I can create company as 1. Maximum length is 4, but I can give as 1 or 10, 20, 40, 100. Any number I can give. I can set minimum and maximum value range so that system will make sure that any codes you are going to enter for a company, those should be in between 1,000 and 9,000 only. Okay, not less than or more than. If you don't give all this, you can enter any number. Maximum 9,999, up to that number system will allow. Say for example, you are creating company code as a 10. Here you given maximum length as a 4. I'm just using this field. Say you enter 10 like this. If maximum length is 4, means you can create the value code up to 4 digits, but you are entering 10. 10 if you enter, it will accept. But you want to maintain some unique, some unique format for all the values what we are entering in this value set. In that case, what you can do is you can enable zero fill. You can enable zero fill. If you enable zero fill, here maximum length is 4, but you entered only length as 2. Remaining length it will fill with zeros. If you enter company code as a 10, automatically system will add these 2 digits as zeros since you enabled zero fill. If you enter company code as 1, the maximum length is 4, you enable the checkbox, it will fill with zeros. Okay, this is how system creates, but reality we don't use this. If client required, we can use mostly we create direct values. Okay, directly we create 4 digits, the client decision. So all the company codes we enter in the 4 digit or 2 digit or 3 digit. However we require, we can do that. So uppercase only. If you enable the checkbox within this value set, what are the company names you are going to enter? All you have to enter in the uppercase only. So Google, just G be given as uppercase, remaining lowercase. But all should be uppercase if you enable the checkbox. So this is how we can create the value sets. First, we have to provide the value set code, then description and module. This application, this module is nothing but application. This value set we are going to use in which application we have to specify. And validation type take as independent. Other types we have to understand, we'll discuss. And value data type is character. And the subtype is text. Maximum length we are giving 4. Could be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Generally, we see in the implementation 10, 2 or 3 or 4. And the maximum value and minimum values you can set if you want to set a limitation, like where the values need to be entered within that zone, so range only. If you enable zero fill, if you enter any value less than 4 digits, rest it will fill with the zeros. Uppercase only within this value set, what are the data you are going to enter that you want in only in uppercase, enable the checkbox. So system will force us to enter everything in the uppercase. If you don't enable this, you can enter a uppercase, lowercase. Okay, how you want to enter, you can enter. So this is how we have to create the value set. Any questions here, please?
Here we have taken the character in the value data type. If we take time, date, how can we set this length of the company code digits?
See, for time, length won't be there. There will be format that we have to select. Okay. So date and time I'm selecting. There is a format. This format you have to follow. Only date. This is a format. The selection only. We never use this, but make a note of that point. Okay, when you talk about chart of accounts, there won't be any requirement of capturing the dates and time within the chart of accounts. We never create segment to capture the dates within the chart of account. Okay, because Oracle is giving this options by understanding global business requirements. Somewhere somebody required, there should be option. That is the reason they give it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Fine. So I'll click on close. Yeah, please.
Can we add any general nature of account middle of the after implementation in middle of the live project? Or if we add that type of transaction, how it will reflect in the final financial reports?
What you said? What you want to add?
Nature of account, GL code. If you add any GL code
Anytime.
middle of
Okay, let me answer. Anytime you can add. Not only at the time of implementation. That is a very ongoing process related requirements. They may start purchasing some new stuff, new services they may render. They may do different new activities as per their business growth or the activities what they are doing. So at any point of time, you can add new companies, new departments, new accounts, new projects, anything you can add into chart of account. What we are discussing is we should not add new segments, but segment related values we can add at any point of time. When you add new values, you added some new accounts. With that accounts, you may create the transactions. Those will reflect in the reports.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's create other value sets. We created value set for company. Now we are going to create value set for department. Same page. Click on create. You can give the name as Google department you want to take the same as the description, take it or else ignore it. Module is general ledger application only. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. Department codes you want to enter in how many digits? Any, just you can give 2, 3, 4. I'm taking 4. And say save and close. Click on create. What is the next segment? Account. Let's create value set for account segment. Google account. So module is general ledger application. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype select as a text. Now we are creating through manual process. When system creates same data, it will take. Okay, same validation type, same data type, same subtype. So these are the values. These are the validation types, data types, subtypes. Mostly we use. That is the reason system in the automation also system can choose the same. Length for account, I'm giving 5. So when you look at reality, the accounts you could see in the thousands and lakhs also. So big organization, lakhs you can find accounts. Small and mid-size organization, definitely you can see in thousands. Giving for account as a 5. So save and close. What are the other segments we have? Create value sets account. Intercompany segment. Intercompany segment, we use the same companies. What are the values we are going to create in the company? The same we are going to use, but still you have to create the separate value set. So anybody from EBS background? Anybody is from EBS background?
Yes, sir, end user.
Okay. End user part not required, but anyway, let me touch that point. So in case of EBS, we no need to create value set for intercompany, even if they are going to use a company value set, they can use for intercompany also. But in the fusion, because of some changes, we have to create it. Okay, there is a concept called as security rule. The security rule in EBS, we implement at segment level, but in the fusion, the security rule we implement at value set level. That is the reason we have to create separate value sets for company and intercompany. Let's see how to create value set for intercompany. Same process. Google intercompany. Take same as a description. Select module as a general ledger. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Okay, after completing few more setups, once we are able to use our chart of accounts, I'll explain these validation types so that you can understand better. Value subtype is text. Intercompany, the length should be same as our company segment maximum length. There we given 4, here also it should be 4 only. Just save and close. Just click on create. The next segment is project. You can give the name as Google project is the value set name. Take same as the description, or else you can ignore it, not mandatory. Select module as general ledger. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Text. So project, let's say 4 we are giving. Means you want to create project codes in 4 digits. Say save and close. Next segment is future one. Create value set for future one segment. So this is unknown segment. In future, we'll come to know. In future, whatever the new segment you require, this you can convert into that segment name. Till the time we have to keep that buffer space so that if you are going to create new segments within the same space, there won't be an issue. You don't create this buffer space, and if you want to create new segments in the future, that will disturb existing data. You can name it as Google future one. If you want to take description, you can take the same. Select module as a general ledger. So validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. Length. We may require the segment values with the 4 digits. Say 7 close. So we have to create one more value set, that is future 2 value set. You can name it as Google future 2. Provide description, select module as a general ledger. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Value subtype is text. Length giving as a 4. Now say save and close. So we created a value sets for all the segments. Check here. Search with a Google term. You can find the value sets what we created. We created for company, department, account, intercompany, project, future, and the future. What is the next step? We have to create chart of account structure. We have to create chart of account structure. So we'll see that. How to create chart of account structure. So go to manage chart of account structures. Okay. If anybody is using this instance now, okay, please stop using, because this chart of accounts only one user can create at a time. In this instance, only one user can access this chart of accounts page. Another users also can access. It won't allow to complete that setup. So who are attending this class now, if anybody is accessing this chart of account structure page, please exit. This is a request. Please exit from that page so that without any issues, I'll be able to create. Otherwise, when I go to that page, if I enter some data, if I try to save it, it says another user is holding the lock. Okay, if one user will enter into this chart of account, it will lock it. So whenever that user will exit, it will unlock. The other user can enter into this chart of account. Don't worry about this scenario. As a part of real time, as a finance consultant, we create the chart of accounts. No other consultants will access to this page. Here we are learning. When we are learning, definitely other users might be working same time. If it won't allow you to create the chart of account structure, we have to wait for some time for your turn and you can create it. So that's how it works. But as of now, if anybody is using the chart of accounts page from this instance, please exit. Please exit. If possible, you can sign out from the system. Another point is never try to practice parallelly. Whatever I am doing, don't try to do from your end. You try to do that, yes, you can complete these setups along with me. You may complete, but you will lose the opportunity of thinking about it and asking the questions on the same. Just blindly you will be entering and doing the setups what I am doing. Please don't follow that. Okay, after class you start your practice. That really will help you. Fine. So manage chart of account structures. We are going to create chart of account structures. Just click on go to task icon. Click on search, directly click on search. So what we discussed, the chart of accounts you can create within the accounting key flex field. That accounting key flex field we have in the general ledger application. The same you can see here. We have a general ledger application. Within that we have accounting flex field. The display name they are giving as accounting flex field. Actual name is accounting key flex field only. Okay. So here they are giving key flex field name, which is the key flex field, accounting key flex field, but display name they are giving as accounting flex field. Accounting flex field means accounting key flex field only, both are same. Display they are giving as accounting flex field. So within this accounting flex field, we are going to create chart of account structure. To create the chart of account structure, click on manage structures tab. Okay, if somebody is in this page, please exit. Click on manage structures tab. Now click on create. You don't find any chart of account structures in fresh instance. No sample chart of account structures we can find in the fresh instance. The one what we will create, that would be the first one. Okay. No sample chart of accounts you find in the fresh instance when we are part of implementation. Let's see how to create. You have to click on create and you can provide the data here. We'll repeat this setup, the task, navigation, etc. Okay. From our implementation project, what task we have to use? Manage chart of account structures. Click on, go to task icon. Click on search. You can see general ledger application. Within that, we have accounting flex field. Click on manage structures. So here, click on create icon. So here you can create the structure. If you start creating structure, it may take some time. So chart of account structure creation we'll see in the tomorrow session. It's already 9:25. Okay. We have to close the session by 9:30 as per our schedule. So we'll do in the tomorrow session. Okay. We'll just discuss and we'll create chart of account structure. So just we completed value sets. Okay, please try to complete the same from your end. Okay, whatever we completed so far, user creation, project creation, and just we gone through offerings and options, accounting calendar, currencies, and we discussed about this content. Please read and remember all these points what we discussed. And by tomorrow session, try to complete these value sets and all. In the tomorrow session, rest what we create, if you can complete as soon as possible. So it would be very easy for you for upcoming classes. So we're done for today. If you have any questions, you can stay back. We will discuss. If no questions, we'll connect tomorrow, same time. Thank you all. Any questions from anyone, please?
Hello, hi Lakshman.
Please.
Yeah, Lakshman. So actually in other applications like this flex fields, we basically refer to the like attributes, like attribute 1, 2, 3 in the tables, which are usually not in the like the where we have the flexibility to
Other
use them as per
means
like OTM.
Yeah, here also everywhere it is applicable. Those you call as attribute descriptive flex fields.
Okay.
Yeah, we are talking about key flex field. We have two type of flex fields.
Okay.
Flex fields, descriptive. In descriptive, in key flex fields we call as segments. The same in the descriptive flex field we call as attributes. What you are referring.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Lakshman.
Yeah, thanks. Any questions, please?
Sir, in one instance, how many companies we can create? I mean, we can use for the
N number of. It allows, but reality, you have to use one instance for only one client. They may have multiple companies. They may have multiple companies. For all the companies they can use, but client should be the same. Yeah. Any questions?
Sir, why we create many business units? It is a legal requirement or any financial
We'll
reporting
discuss
purpose?
now. That is not on the table, right?
Okay, okay, sir. And one more, sir. We have in R2Well, we have ages like advanced global intercompany transaction related. Is this same? Is option is there in the future?
AGIS, yes.
Yes, 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 sir.
Global intercompanies. Yeah, same solution. we put.
Okay.
What Oracle did is they copied the solution from EBS to Fusion, and they did necessary changes as per Fusion. In EBS, most of the setups are like functions, whatever you call, are in the form based, right?
Yes, yes,
If
sir.
you are web based, now in Fusion, you could see all the functional, all the setups and like any kind of activity you perform, those pages they converted into web based. And
Yes.
they did some changes wherever it is required. And they did some enhancements, or they introduced some few new functionalities, and they added altogether new solutions also into Fusion, like Hyperion reporting and BA reporting, OTBA reporting. These capabilities they added into Fusion.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll come across, okay, when we go through these classes. If you are aware of EBS, easily you can correlate wherever it is applicable. Even I cover, because see here, they're talking about segment, labels, and value attributes. Once we complete this, I'll cover that point in EBS, what we call. Okay, segment labels in EBS we call as flex field qualifiers, value attributes we call as segment qualifiers. I'll cover all those points.
Okay.
Any
Sir,
other?
in this class you are saying we can create only, I mean, we can minimum we are creating 6, 7, 8 in a real time chart of accounts.
Correct.
Then where we can get the accounts receivable, accounts payable, cash, balance, all those.
Account receivables and all accounts you will get in this account segment. Okay, this chart of account you can use in any application. Application name you don't need to include in this. Okay, there is some background noise. So you have a question, but please, if possible, since you are asking the question, if possible, you just try to manage that. Any other questions, please?
Yeah, so like we just discussed, so what's the difference actually between this KFF and DFF?
KFF, this chart of account description is very important, right?
Correct, correct.
So what are the very important information that you can maintain by using the KFF, key flex fields?
Okay.
Okay, see here. KFF, key flex field. And say you are going to create invoice. To create invoice, what are the data you have to capture? Oracle is providing invoice creation screen. You need 2 more fields as per your business that you can add by using DFF, descriptive flex field, additional information.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay, sure. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. So any other questions? No questions. Okay. So that's all for today. We'll connect tomorrow same time, and we'll see how to create this chart of accounts, the structure, instance, and deployment, etc. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.